This is Straight Talk on Motorsports, the business side of our show, and we're in Lakeland, Florida with Bernie Little. Bernie, there was a transition in the mid-'80s in unlimited hydroplane racing. You had warehouses full of piston engines, and I think 84 and 85, the turbine-powered vehicles started winning the races. So tell us about that.
Well, they really did, and I want to tell you, the more I saw of them, the sicker I got, because I had all of this equipment that was going to be obsolete the minute we did that. And August Busch sent one of his senior vice presidents, that happened to be Jack McDonough, who now is chairman of the board of our competitor Miller's. I had hard for me to say that, but Jack was very interested in what happened with the hydroplane, and when he witnessed what happened and how much more power the turbines had and stuff, he went back to St. Louis and made a recommendation to Mr. Busch, and we immediately went to turbine, and thank God we did, because that actually was the way to go.
And you probably still to this day have quite a few piston airplane parts around that would power some kind of vehicle.
Yeah, we do have a few, but we were lucky enough to sell them off to the aviation people that are really into aircraft racing and out at Reno air races and stuff. So all of it basically it got sold off pretty good, and so we went turbine. But you know, we have the longest active relationship. Our boat racing team really kind of started Anheuser-Busch into sports. And
in 1985, you guys started working on a bubble cockpit to save some lives, and that is one of the singular greatest contributions that you made to the sport of unlimited hydroplane racing.
That's true. Thank you. Everybody says, gee, I'd like to be remembered for something, but August Busch, our chairman, said exactly was, Bernie, we got to make this safer, or we got to get out. And I said, I agree wholeheartedly. We're just losing too many drivers. So we developed enclosed cockpit, and there are probably 12 guys that are alive today that wouldn't be alive because, and actually what happened, my boat, we was the first one to upset with the new canopy. And we learned a lot from that. And Jim Cropfeld was our driver at the time. And we've had you know, our boat upset this year and totally destroyed itself. The only thing left was the cockpit upside down, but the cockpit was all intact. And so you know, we're building two new boats as we speak, but we're going to make sure these don't go upside down. We just can't afford to do that.
Your relationship with August Busch actually pioneered the concept of sponsorship, and a handshake and $5,000 later, it spawned the sponsorship industry.
Yeah, that's true. It really has, and I'll never forget, he called me up and said, come on up here, we want to go to the Indianapolis race. A lot of people want us to get involved in it. I want you to look at it and see what you think. We went up and we stayed for, I think, 2 or 3 laps, and we got in a helicopter and flew back out of there because all we heard was everything but our sponsor's name. And we did have a pretty large investment going, but we, you know, they still don't call the automobiles by Budweiser car or anything. It's always an Andretti or A.J. Foyt or somebody. And we're in the business of selling beer, so I didn't like it, and I didn't recommend it. So we stayed out of it for a long time, but finally we had to get into it, and we're into it big time.
You're into it big time.
Right.
Well, Bernie, 1994 was a big year for you because you were a recipient of the Horatio Alger Award for Lifetime Achievement, and you were inducted into the Motorsports Hall of Fame.
Yes.
And the Horsepower Trophy.
Yes, sir.
And you're the captain of industry, and you made substantial contributions to motorsports, and I'd like to thank you for being on Straight Talk on Motorsports.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that very much. Those were, I've received a lot of awards, as you can see in my offices. I've got awards hanging on every wall, but the Horatio Alger Award was one of the top awards that I could ever receive, and then to get this Motorsports Hall of Fame all in the same year was really a great year for us.
Bernie, tell us about the Unlimited Hydroplane Series.
Well, you know, we have 10 to 12 races a year, and you can see the whole rig from the bow to the stern. And the Miss Budweiser's something really, something that we've created. And we've created the enclosed cockpit, as you can see.
This came out of an F-16, I understand, and it was a result of losing drivers, and it's been one of the most innovative things that's happened to the sport. Tell us about coming up with the F-16 design.
Well, we make our own. That is the F-16 canopy you're looking at here, but now we've molded our own and make it with more room in it. We also come up with a canard wing here, and the canard wing will, when he puts that down, we'll put it right back down on the water.
How does a driver control the canard from the cockpit?
Well, he does it with his left foot. The right foot's the throttle, his left foot is the canard wing, and it's there to keep him from blowing over. But if it gets too high, it won't help him.
And these are wood construction with paint?
No, they're not. They're not wood. There's a lot of fiberglass on it, but they're made out of material that I'd just really not even like to discuss. And actually, we'll just say they're out of honeycomb, like a 747 wing is built on an airplane. They're very, very light. It'll sit here approximately 5,000 pounds.
Bernie, I understand the power plant's out of a Chinook helicopter.
Yeah, it sure is. The Chinook helicopter, of course, has 2 engines, so that's good. That makes them more plentiful. Actually, they're getting pretty hard to come by now, and we do have to get them from the military. And when they run out, we rebuild them and put them back better than they were when they were new. But anyhow, the Chinook is our power plant. Then if you'd like to come on back here, as you can see, back here is the transom where we have the fins. They are laying down. This is the way the Miss Budweiser travels on the side. But when these are out and the stabilizers, there's a wing goes across the back, and we can adjust those so we can adjust the ride of the Miss Budweiser to make it lower in the water, higher in the water. And once we adjust them, then they have to stay there for the race.
What kind of speed are we talking about flat out on the straightaway, Bernie?
We're talking, they're all computerized. We know the driver don't have to tell us. He's at 205, 203 on about every run going to the first turn. He'll be in excess of 200 miles an hour.
Tell us about the prop system, Bernie.
Well, the propeller is a forged propeller made out of steel. We make these in the Miss Budweiser Racing Shop out in Seattle, and they normally run about $22,000 if you're buying them. They cost us about $8,000, and we'll run one of these propellers maybe 2, 3, 4 times at the most, and then we put it on the shelf. Because when you lose that blade, it tears the whole rear end out of the boat. So we have learned that from a lot of experience and a lot of rebuilding boats, they don't last long, they crack. So we won't overdo them. Here's our rudder. You notice the rudder is placed clear on the right side of the hydroplane. The reason is we only turn to the left. We've tried it in the center, we've tried it over the other side, but since you're only turning left, it turns it a lot better over on the starboard side of the boat. So that's what you see there, and that about concludes all of the things with the Miss Budweiser, other than the secrets of how we win.
You're going to give those out today?
No, I don't believe we will.
So Straight Talk on Motorsports. We're with Bernie Little and the Miss Budweiser.